let's flip it back over to the 49ers and the issue that you brought up earlier, and maybe another guy who would hope to get released so he could go sign with a real contender for the postseason in 2024, De'Vondre Campbell. Here's Kyle Shanahan on what happened last night with Campbell when it was time for Campbell to enter the game.
Happened with De'Vondre Campbell. He didn't play, and he went into the locker room at some point.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to play today.
Play today?
Yep.
The coaching staff?
He did when I asked him why he didn't want to go in. So.
During the game or before?
No, it was in the third quarter.
Has that ever happened to you where a player said they didn't want to play in a game?
No.
He got demoted for this game, right? I mean, he was not going to play.
No, he was going to go in when Drake came out.
With De'Vondre opting to not go into the game, what do you need to do to ensure that you don't lose the rest of the locker room?
I haven't lost anybody. That's somebody who doesn't want to play football. It's pretty simple. I mean, I think our team and myself, we know how we feel about that, so I don't think we need to talk about him anymore.
Wow. That's as concise as I've ever heard and seen Kyle Shanahan, but the message is clear. We're done with this guy. We're done with him. And Dre Greenlaw was coming back from the Achilles tendon tear that he suffered in the Super Bowl, going from the sideline to the field, that freak thing where it just went. He's back. His knee got stiff in the third quarter, so they pulled him out. So it's De'Vondre Campbell time, and he says, I'm not playing. It really is amazing when you think about it. The guy's played all year, started 12 games, appeared in 13, signed a one-year, $5 million deal with the 49ers, and there he is. End of the third quarter. That's it. I'm done. I'm going in. Rodney, your thoughts?
And let me tell you something. I am very disappointed because this is a guy that I covered him basically his entire career and had a chance to see him go from the Atlanta Falcons to the Green Bay Packers and turn himself into an all-pro. And for the life of me, Mike, Dre Greenlaw is the starter. Dre Greenlaw might be their best player on the defensive side of the ball. And when he comes back, you know, as a veteran replacing this guy, you're going to go on the bench. And that's one of the reasons why they brought him in. They needed a guy that had some experience that could come in right away, but also understand when our starter gets back, he's going to be the starter. And for De'Vondre Campbell to walk off like that, and after playing 19 years in this league, the reputation that he's developed, he's a good guy. He's a really good football player. And to go out like this, I'm really disappointed in him because this is what people are going to remember about De'Vondre Campbell. And it shouldn't be like this. This guy's a big guy. He can play football. He's smart. I've seen him help others out. He's a really good dude. And I just feel bad for him that he would make a decision like this that's going to stick with him basically the rest of his life.
Yeah, because here's the problem. If he wants out to go join a contender, this isn't the way to sell yourself to a contender, just like with Deontay Johnson in Baltimore. He quit on the team, refused to enter the game against the Eagles Week 13. They've suspended him for their next game, which is this Sunday against the Giants. Who's going to want him if the Ravens would cut him? He's going to become a free agent in March if they don't cut him. Who's going to want him
Mike,
after that?
Mike, let me just say this real quick. If I'm in that locker room or any locker room that he walks in, as soon as he walks in that locker room, I'm turning my head. I'm like, I don't want no part of this. And that's what he's going to receive because nobody wants to play with a quitter. Nobody wants to play with a guy they can't trust. I can't trust that you're going to be there for our team. And that's the thing that really pisses me off about this situation because he has such a great opportunity. I mean, he's part of a great franchise organization. They gave him an opportunity when a lot of people didn't. He started a bunch of games, and to refuse is basically saying, I don't give a damn about my teammates and all the guys that have put so much into this. They've sacrificed so much. Think about Kyle Shanahan as a coach. If you have respect for him, think about all the BS that he had to go through with all these holdouts. And these players know how invested Kyle Shanahan is. And I think at times they take advantage of Kyle Shanahan. And, you know, and I'm glad he put his foot down and he's saying, hey, they need to cut this guy. They need to move on from him and send a message to the rest of the league.
I'm curious, when you say they take advantage of him, what are you talking about? Like he's a nice guy. He's a player's coach. He bends over backwards for his guys and they push him a little more than they should.
Absolutely. And they basically bullied him into contracts. Well, I'm going to hold out. Now you're in training camp. You got Brandon Ayuk, you got Trent Williams, And I mean, maybe it's a brilliant move for them because those guys continue to get new contracts and get paid. But I do believe that they kind of pry on his sensitivity to the players.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, some of these hard-ass coaches aren't going to bend. Shanahan wants his guys out there, wants his team to be as good as it can be, wants his guys to be happy. Let's hear from some of the guys. If De'Vondre Campbell is ever back in the locker room, and actually making him go back in the locker room might be worse of a punishment than anything else they could do to him, because he's going to have to face guys like George Kittle, face guys like Charvarius Ward. Here's both of them with their comments to reporters after last night's game when Campbell refused to play and walked off the field.
I mean, he's a professional. He's been playing for a long time. I mean, if he didn't want to play, he shouldn't have dressed out. You know, he could have told him that before the game. So I feel like there was some sucker shit that he did. Definitely hurt the team because, you know, D went down. And we needed a linebacker, you know. And I think Flynn was banged up too. So for him to do that, that's some sucker stuff to me, in my opinion. Like, it's probably going to get cut soon. So, you know, it is what it is with that.
That is one person who just decided not to, you know, play for his teammates. And I don't think that doesn't make our offense look at each other and be like, wow, man, you know, we're falling apart. It's more of a, or like the defense, hey, we're falling apart. It's more of a one person making a, like Mooney said, a selfish decision. And I'm with Mooney on that. And I've never been around anybody that's ever done that. And I hope I'm never around anybody that does that again.
Strong stuff from both Ward and Kittle. Now, Ward made a great point. This is something that should have come up before the game. And I wonder if there were any signs, Rodney, if there was anything in the demeanor, the words, the behavior of De'Vondre Campbell that might have caused someone to say, I wonder if something's up with him tonight. And you know how that goes when you're in a team setting like that. People are sensitive to the signs that are coming from their teammates. I just wonder if there was any signal that he was in that kind of a mindset and why he would be in that mindset to do what he did. It's such an extreme thing. It just makes me wonder, was there any reason to think this might happen?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he's not the starter. He was replacing a guy that was a starter. And when the head coach says this is the starter, as the backup now, you have to support your teammates. That's all part of it. And for you to be so selfish, and you guys have gone through so much adversity, and to walk off the field and to absolutely quit. I've never seen this in his character. I've like I said, I followed this guy for so many years, and maybe all the money that he made, you talk about Green Bay paid him 5-year, $50 million. Like, people have taken care of this guy, and I just didn't see him walking off the field. And I just tell you, as much as I like De'Vondre, I see him, I give him a handshake. I don't want to play with a guy like that. If you quit on me, I'm going to always feel like, hey, there's a possibility that you can quit again.
And I agree with you. But I guess from my perspective, I'm curious what the root cause is. When it's something that is so far out of character, what's really going on? And we live in a time when, rightfully so, we have a greater sensitivity to the mental health of athletes than ever before. And it just makes me curious. Is there something else that we don't know about? Is there something we don't know about?
It's probably selfishness. That's what it probably is. I mean, guys get in their feelings. He's older. He's got a ton of money in the bank, and he's gotten to a point where he's like, well, I'm out here busting my tail. This guy, he hasn't been out here, and then all of a sudden you're going to put him in place of me. I go from a full-time starter, and then all of a sudden I'm not playing at all, and then you want me to go in maybe the garbage time. I don't want to do it. I mean, what does that say about him as a person? I mean, this wasn't always De'Vondre Campbell. I've seen this guy come kind of from the bottom, work himself up to be an all-pro, and now you get to a point in this moment. This is the way you want to be remembered for your entire career. It's very disappointing, man. And I tell you, man, after being in this league for over 30 years, he's going to regret that he walked off, because the first thing it did was it reminded me of Antonio Brown. And I said, how can these guys have so much disrespect for the game, so much disrespect for their teammates, for their coaches, for everybody that have sacrificed, and all the guys? Think about Christian McCaffrey, how he's busting his ass every single day, Mike, trying to fight and claw and to get out there on a football field. And this guy has an opportunity to play, and he wants no part of it, man. I tell you, football players, it disgusts you. Guys like myself, George Kittle, it's frustrating because we put so much into this.
And You said one thing I disagree with. You said it was garbage time. It wasn't garbage time. It was 6-3. It was a close game.
If it was a garbage time.
But I'm right. But my point is, if De'Vondre Campbell is upset that he got benched when Dre Greenlaw got healthy, as he should have known from the moment he signed the contract back in March, this was going to happen. This is an opportunity. Greenlaw's knee tightened up on him. He's out. He can't play. You go in there and you could be a difference maker tonight. Right. Maybe you can do enough that causes them to say, well, we're going to give Dre more time on the bench to make sure he's fully healthy if we would make it to the playoffs. And it's more opportunities for De'Vondre Campbell to shine. And then if the 49ers would have made the playoffs and you're out there when most of the teams are home watching you play on TV and you make a big play, you've unlocked your next contract with that coach, that GM. They're going to text each other, hey, 59, we put him at the top of our list for linebackers that we're going to target in free agency. That's how that goes. So it wasn't a lost season. It wasn't a lost game. It was a squandered opportunity by De'Vondre Campbell to go out there and make a mark in a big game when everyone's watching on Thursday night. So that's what just makes me think and would make me curious. Is it basic selfishness or is there something else going on? Because it defies common sense that he would fall back the opportunity to go out there and have a big night.
If there was something else going on, he shouldn't have been on the sideline. If he's got personal issues or whatever things going on, stay at home, stay in the locker room. Don't come out on that field. But when you come out on that field, you're telling the teammates, hey, and your coaches, I'm available. Whatever you need from me to do, I'm willing to do it. And at this point in time, he's an older guy. He's not going to get a $30, $40, $50 million contract from anyone. He's year to year, basically. When you get to this point, you're year to year as a player, and he should understand that. You said it perfectly. When he signed his 1-year deal for $3 or $5 million, whatever it was, he should have known that I'm not going to be the starter. I'm here to replace Fred Warner if he gets hurt, and to sub in for Dre Greenlaw. And it was just, it was such a bad look on his part. And just seeing him walk off the field, quitting on his teammates, I had personally never seen anything like that as well, Mike. Just a guy flat out quitting.
I just wonder, and again, I'm not making excuses for him, I just wonder if after starting 12 games, playing in 13, and all of a sudden they're bringing Greenlaw back this late in the year, I wonder if he was pissed off from the standpoint of, wasn't I good enough? Why didn't you just let Greenlaw take the rest of the year off? Why are you bringing him back at all this late in the game? Let me finish the season. Let me finish what I started. I've been here busting my ass, and haven't I been playing well? Let me finish what I started. I don't know. Again, you're right. If there was something going on, it should have come to a head before he walked out on the field. He shouldn't have been in uniform if he wasn't in the right mindset to play. Whatever existed that caused him to not go into the game surely existed before he put on his pads last night. Anyway, I suspect we'll hear more about that today. The 49ers will do something, whether they suspend him or cut him. Campbell will have something to say. Shanahan will have more to say. Maybe John Lynch will have something to say.
They can't keep him.
On the back end.
Mike, they cannot keep him. When George Kittle comes out and says, I don't want to play with a guy like that, you cannot keep him in that locker room. He is a cancer. The first thing I would have done if I was John Lynch, I would have pulled Kyle Shanahan and whatever ownership and said, hey, this is not the message that we want to send. We're going to send a message ourselves. We're going to release him right after the game. He would have been gone. No way would he even been able to come in Monday morning. I would have had his stuff packed up and I would have sent him home. There's no way he could have been part of this team.
That could happen as soon as this morning once the 49ers gather and make their decision. All right. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.